It's not the flip. It's not the flip. It will flip. However, starting next week, because this technology is new, and sometimes you just got to work. You got to work through it.
Work through the kinks.
Yeah, work through the kinks. This week is just me and Jay. Jay, how you doing, man?
Running good, brother. Running good. We in the house.
All right. So we've got, man, so much happened from like 2 days ago when we said this is what we're going to talk about. So here's kind of the issue. You tell me where you want to start. I have something I want to talk about. There's a clip that I will share, but I want to do that maybe after. Is there a place that you want to start?
Well, the thing that I was thinking about more than anything specifically was this KD to the Celtics thing is really aggravating me. It just is, Tone. And it's aggravating me because I'm trying to make sense of it. That's why it's aggravating me more than anything. It's not aggravating me because it's dumb. It's aggravating me because I'm just trying to make sense of why the Celtics are even entertaining this thing. First and foremost, Tone, we smoked you dudes in the playoffs last year. We didn't beat you. We smoked you dudes in the playoffs. So there is not one person on your crew that we need to get us over the hump. Right. Because at the very base of this, we're better than you. So there's no reason for us to blow up our unit or decimate our core for one guy that's on the other side of his prime in KD. Who, don't get me wrong, KD, I still think that he's in his prime, and I still think he's one of the 5 best players in the game. But he's on the other side of it. And I also understand the logic that, you can't just stand pat every year. You do have to get better. But Boston did get better because they added Brogdon, right? Not only did they add Brogdon, that's another year of experience for Jason Tatum, for Jaylen Brown, for Marcus Smart. We obviously aren't that far away. It's not like Golden State smoked us in the finals. We went into Miami and won in Game 7. We went into Milwaukee in an elimination game and won. So we obviously have the formula. And to blow this thing up, not necessarily blow it up, but to move off of our core and get involved with the guy who bringing this dude in is not going to necessarily guarantee us winning it. That's not guaranteeing we're going to win it if we bring him in. Don't get me wrong. He may give us a dynamic that we didn't have last year. That's 28, 29 a game that we didn't have. But does that mean we win it? As opposed to with the unit that I have with us right now, the unit that we have right now, and the formula that we have, we can be viable for a long time. How many more years you think KD gonna play? At minimum, Tone, just at this level, how many more years do you think he's gonna play?
It's a difficult question for me because I think he'll play another 6, but I also think each year is going to get worse than the last. I've said before, I think his elite days are gone. Now, that's not to say, people are going to kill me because, so he's still average 25 points a game next season. Yeah, probably average 25, 27. But I feel like he's going to give you less of that other stuff that he did. Look, I've said this again. I don't think he does a lot of things other than score great. So if those now are good to average, and now his scoring, which is elite, if that starts to erode, right, whether he starts to slow down, injuries, whatever, who is the guy that I want for the next 5 years? Is it an aging Durant, or is it a ascending Jaylen Brown? And 10 out of 10 times, I feel I'm picking Jaylen Brown in that situation. That's not to say like you said, that's not to say Jaylen Brown's a better player than KD. He's not. However, I think he gives you more on the offensive and defensive end combined than KD gives you combined on both ends of the floor.
Now, you also have to remember too, Tone, that you can't just. I understand the logic that you can't just stand pat, and you do have to get better because Milwaukee's coming back next year. And all they're going to do is they don't have to rebuild. They're going to get Middleton back. And I think that they're going to be right back in it. But the Boston Celtics clearly have the formula. They clearly have the formula, and I'm not interested in blowing this thing up or moving off my young guys who, with Jaylen Brown, with Marcus Smart. I can have these guys for another 5-6 years with Jason Tatum. I can keep this group together for another 4 or 5 years at this level and retool the other things, as opposed to, all right, I got 1, maybe 2 more years at this level with KD before this thing is over. And we got to start over, because I don't know how he's going to mesh with Jason Tatum. How is he going to play off of Jason Tatum? How is Jason Tatum going to play off of him? Is Jason Tatum going to have him in there? And is Jason Tatum going to now maybe shy away from having Kevin Durant, because now this is the vet, this is the guy who's been this good for a long time? That can affect.
I think it will stunt his development.
And I'm not interested in that at all. I'm not, Tony.
If we're being honest, right? If we're being honest, is KD a leader who can help grow and mentor players that we've seen? Maybe he can change and be that, but have we seen him do that in the past? Is that him?
I have not seen him do that in the past. I'm gonna get to you in a second, Darko. Hold on for a second.
Yeah, we're gonna get to Darko 100%. So let's open up the chat real quick first on the Boston side. So let's bring them in here and let's see what they have.
To answer your question, Darko, the reason I became a Mets fan was in 1986. In 1985, I was 12 years old. I fell in love with Darryl Strawberry. My friends were Willie Randolph, Ricky Henderson, Don Mattingly fans. Those guys, my friends that I was growing up with, they was huge Yankee fans. I dug Darryl Strawberry. He looked like me. He was athletic. He was tall, and he just always seemed to get on base. So I just fell in love with Darryl Strawberry, and he became my favorite Met, and that's how I became a Mets fan.
So basically, the chat's in here saying the same thing. They don't see. I'm just reading through their comments.
Yep.
They don't see the fit in Brooklyn. KD, it's not beneficial for Brooklyn. That's from Justin. Let's see. Durant can't be a team, right? It's not just us. Durant will need a super team to win another title.
This is what I'm thinking about. This is where I'm thinking about it from this aspect, Tone. You have a window when you have a championship team. You being a Laker fan, you can appreciate this. When you guys had Shaq and Kobe, we have the formula. You don't pour the formula down the drain. And Shaq has said it countless times. Had Shaq, when he started to go the other way, had he just maybe taken a step back and said, all right, Kobe, I'm going to play off of you. You're going to be the guy. We're going to keep this thing together, and I'm going to play off you. How many more championships could they have gotten to and won had he done that? Because they clearly had the formula. I feel the same way with the Boston Celtics, because I'm looking at this unit. Jason Tatum is under 25. Jaylen Brown is 26. Marcus Smart is 27 years old. Robert Williams is 23. Grant Williams is 25. You have the formula with these young guys, and to try to get a win now when you already on that track.
I don't feel that it's a win now, because look what they've done. One, I've said this. I don't think KD makes them a better team, right? He's a better player than Jaylen Brown, right, but I don't think it makes them a better team, because how did they win? Defense. You're going to lose some of that with KD versus Jaylen Brown. The other thing is this. Now, if the trade doesn't go through, now Jaylen Brown's sitting there going like, I believe the kids would say, WTF.
Yeah.
Like, you're always trying to trade me.
Right.
What is it about Jaylen Brown that they keep? I get it. They don't want to trade Tatum, and he's the next best player on that team. So they want to do that. But man, I just don't like it from the standpoint of us having what it takes. We're obviously a championship contender. We aren't that far away from winning it. We obviously are right there. Right? We obviously are right there, Tone. I mean, we lost to the Warriors in 6 games because, as Jason Tatum, I didn't play up to the standard that I could have played at. Right? I didn't play up to the standard that I could have played at, and because I didn't, I think that cost us. And a lot of that had to do with the fact that, I'm inexperienced. I'm only in my 5th year, so I'm still trying to figure this thing out. But with that being said, I'm obviously on the right path.
So is this team. We got our rim protector. We got our ball handler. We got our distributor. We got all of those things.
I told you last year, the fact that they made it to the finals was a surprise. I told you last year, this year is the year that I thought Boston makes that step. Well, now I'm even more confident about that because now they've had a season that they went to the finals. They understood what it takes to get there. And I think this now is a better opportunity. This is a better team than it was last year. This is a better team that lost in 6 to the Warriors, who are a very, very good team.
Yeah.
So the fact that they want to even consider this, I hate it because, like I said, if it happens, I think the team's worse. And if it doesn't happen, I also think it might mess up the chemistry of the team. Let's just quickly go because Darko has blessed us with a couple of super chats. So the first one you kind of answered. OG, who's your from Darko? Who's your favorite New York Met ever and why? And so
I told him about Darryl Strawberry, and he's asking about, is there going to be a team that KD could get traded? That the trade
here. I'll read the question. I got it in bigger capitals. I got it in bigger capitals, bigger letters. My question is there going to be a team that KD could get traded that after the trade the roster would be better than what he has in Brooklyn?
Tone, you and I feel like New Orleans. I absolutely feel. I don't think New Orleans has to give up the house. Hand over Brandon Ingram. Hand over Herb Jones. Hand over 3 1s, and we got a deal.
But do you think does Brooklyn take that deal?
Well, here's the thing: are they good? Number one, the first question that needs to be answered here, Tone, is Brooklyn serious about trading KD? That's the first question that we have to answer because, when Kawhi Leonard asked to be traded, and the talk was about him being traded to the Lakers, and Popovich says, "I want Anthony." He says, "I want these many. I want this guy, and I want 4 1s." We knew Greg Popovich wasn't serious, and we knew he wasn't giving him to the Lakers. So the same idea. That's the same logic with Brooklyn. Are you guys serious about trading Kevin Durant? And Tone, don't get distracted by the haul that Danny Ainge got for Rudy Gobert. First and foremost, let's get to the bottom of one thing and one thing only. Rudy Gobert is an elite player. He's an all-NBA performer. He's an all-star, and he's the defensive player of the year. So he is an elite player in the NBA. I know that you don't like I know that because he doesn't average 25 a game or something like that. Rudy Gobert is elite, and he's been elite.
Gobert is an elite defender in this league.
Right. He absolutely is. He is elite.
Player.
And how am I not an elite player, Tony, when I'm consistently an all-NBA performer and all-star? Right.
For me, elite is ahead of superstar. And you know how hard it is to be a superstar in my book.
I wouldn't say elite and super. I wouldn't say elite is over superstar. I would say superstar is ahead of you because there's guys that are elite that aren't superstars. So I would not put those guys.
Maybe I'll give you my tiers, and maybe we can agree on one, so we can use the same technology. I go below average.
Yeah. Because
someone have said trash. Nobody's trash.
Nobody's trash.
So below average, good, really good, great, star, all-star, superstar, elite.
So wouldn't that, when I think about star, all-star, I would have to put those guys in the same category. I wouldn't put a star and an all-star because an all-star can be elite, but not a superstar. So when I think about the tiers of guys like
elite and then superstar, so we'll just flip those two.
I'm good with that. I'm good. I'm good with elite. Okay. When you're the defensive player of the year numerous years, and you're an all NBA performer numerous years, you're an elite player in the NBA. You're not a good player. You're elite. Because if I'm using the logic that he's an elite defensive player, I can say the same thing about James Harden. James Harden's an elite offensive player, which makes him a specialist, and that's it. And I'm not ready to go there. I think James Harden is an elite player in the NBA. Just like I think that, and just because Rudy Gobert is elite on the defensive side of the basketball does not mean he's not an elite player in the game.
So in your book, Gobert is elite, but he's not a superstar.
I don't think he's a superstar, but I do think he's elite. Absolutely.
We're talking in terminology.
Right.
That's easy. No problem.
Absolutely. So with that being said, I'm having a difficult time with people telling me that, well, Danny Ainge, he raised the price because of the haul that he got for Rudy Gobert. Well, number one, Rudy Gobert is an elite player.
And he's younger.
Not only is he younger, those draft picks aren't going to matter later on down the road because I think that the Minnesota Timberwolves are going to be good. So those draft picks are going to be in the 20s. And we've already built something here. So with that being said, the Brooklyn Nets, are you guys serious about trading Kevin Durant? And if you're serious about him, what exactly is a realistic trade? Because don't tell me that you're looking for 2 All-Stars and 4 first-round picks because you're not serious. You're not. You're not serious. You're not serious.
I said this to you. They're not. I don't believe it. I said, when you asked me where do I think KD and Kyrie are playing next year, I said Brooklyn.
Yeah.
I said that. I'm gonna stick to it.
I know you sticking to that, Tone, but my question to you is how do we go into training camp with this aura, with this dynamic around us that he asked to be traded in the offseason? Kyrie Irving has now entered into the last year of his contract. Ben Simmons, who now is going to come into the fold. How do we? Because we're not going to talk at all.
You know what's happening? You know what's happening right now behind the scenes? Someone with the Nets organization is having conversations with KD, not with Kyrie, with KD. And he's asking him, who can we bring in, be it a GM, be it a coach, to smooth out the waters? And I don't know how late is too late, but like if they get off to a bad preseason, if they start the season like 1-4, right? We've seen them do this, and that the coach just gets fired. And I think that's unfortunately what's going to happen because if they drag it on too long, that's what's going to end up having to happen.
I don't know if I agree with that, Tone. I
think it's more likely that by the end of October, when the season starts, we will have a new Brooklyn Nets coach versus KD being gone from the Nets.
So we're more apt to have a new Brooklyn coach than KD be gone from the Nets. Well. Yeah. The first problem I'm having is we've already done everything that you guys have asked us to do. Both Kyrie and KD. We did everything that you guys asked us to do.
I don't think Nash even wants to be there. You think Nash wants to deal with that stuff? Like, from what I know of Steve, he's a good dude.
Right.
He's a good dude and he's happy. Why would he want that drop? Like, would you want that? Would you want to deal with that? You're a team. Nothing. You need nothing in this world. Would you want to deal with that?
But that's part of coaching, Tone. That comes with it. And no matter where, especially considering this is his first NBA job. It's not like Steve Nash has come up through the ranks like Nick Nurse. It's not like he's come up through the ranks like Ty Lue. No, Steve Nash has never been on anybody's bench as an assistant, as a scout, or anything like that. This is his first head coaching job. This is his first coaching job. So he walked into this knowing that this could be, number one, a disaster, or this could be something really good. And whatever it is, I got to accept all the stuff that comes with it because I got not one, but I got 2 superstars, 2 of them. So the idea that I'm not really wanting to deal with this, Steve Nash just got this is his first coaching job. So I don't think he's in a position to say, well, I don't know if I want to deal with this because this is part of it.
All right, we're going to shift for a minute. We'll get back. Trust me, we're going to talk some more KD. I've got the clip lined up, but this was such a good question that I couldn't ignore it. Michael asks, did Magic Johnson deserve his 1980 Finals MVP against the Sixers when Kareem had better stats than Magic?
No. Jabbar averaged 30 and 15 in the playoffs that year. Not only did he average 30 and 15, he averaged 30 and 15 in the finals. So going into game 6, Jabbar averages 30 and 15. Magic was barely averaging a double-double. I think Magic was like 17 and 11, something like that. 17 or 18 and 11. And he had the game of his life. And I think that because he did that against Doc on the road, I think it swayed the writers to say that, this guy, and it was a great story. He was a rookie. He plays the 5, and they go into Philadelphia. And because everybody thought that the series was over. Jabbar's not playing. I mean, how are we going to win this thing now? We can't win it. And the fact that Magic goes in and he does what he does, he kind of pushed that narrative that, he's the next thing. Him and Bird are going to be the future of the NBA. But I don't think that he deserved the Finals MVP over Jabbar. Mm-mm.
So this is going to break my heart, and I'm going to take my fandom, and I'm going to put it over here for a minute if I can.
Remember, guys, this right here, this dude right here, this dude right here, the guy that we're talking about, the reason why Tone got into the NBA is because of the guy we're talking about. So just make sure you remember that.
So you'll know exactly how honest I'm being, right?
Yeah.
As a basketball commentary versus fan. Kareem should have been the Finals MVP.
Yes, he should have been.
And the fact that I know why they gave it to Magic, because he had a performance of the ages to clinch that series. And they understood the NBA was on the rocks. And with all due respect to Kareem versus Bird wasn't a rivalry that they could sell. And someone in marketing, whether it was David Stern or whoever, I think it was David Stern, I think it was the VP, right? At that point, he said, hey, I see two guys who met up in college, Magic won. This year, Bird is, everyone's saying he's the best thing. He's the best player in the league.
Rookie of the year, no doubt.
Rookie of the year. Yeah. Well, how can we make it a rivalry? Well, the flashy guy in LA, and here's the funny part. Magic wasn't a flashy LA guy. He came from like Michigan. He was about as country as Bird was, but
his father drove a garbage truck. That's what he did. I got 9 brothers and sisters, and my father drives a garbage truck. I'm not Hollywood.
He is not LA.
No,
however,
I'm not.
Flashy LA. His style, his play was though. How do we do that? Well, he had a game of the ages. He's this, he was the first pick, all that good stuff. Well, let's make him Finals MVP. So now who's better, Bird or Magic? Well, now that's a conversation. And as we know, and if nothing else, rivalries, debates sell. And that's why they did it. And it's, yeah. So
don't leave out the dynamics on that, this guy's white and this other guy's black too. That matters. That also matters too.
Well, I was gonna say the other thing is that, well, Kareem's black, so they could have done, but Kareem was very, how can I? No,
he's very militant. He was very militant. Yeah,
he was right. He had converted to Islam. Like it was like that's too scary. Magic, on the other hand, big smile, right? Very personable. We could put him in commercials. It from a marketing standpoint, made sense. It made sense.
Does.
If we just looked at basketball, Kareem should have been the MVP.
I think Jabbar was the lead. I think Jabbar was the MVP of the Finals that year, no doubt.
So we got a super chat, and then I'm going to play the clip. I promise. The super chat from Sir Drake. No, Sir Drake, you don't have to apologize. This doesn't have to be your last one, and everybody else can feel free to send in some more super chats. But he says, my last question for y'all: what is the most heartbreaking loss you've ever experienced as a sports fan?
Oh, that's easy for me. January 1991. My 49ers lose to the Giants in the NFC Championship game, and Joe Montana is knocked out of the game, done for the day, and they beat us on a field goal to go to the Super Bowl. We were absolutely on our way to winning the Super Bowl, not 1 year, not 2 years in a row, but 3 years in a row. My Niners were on their way to winning the bowl game, 3 straight years, and when Joe Montana got knocked out, I was heartbroken over that. Broke my heart.
Well, here's the thing. I'm a Bears fan, so like there's been a lot of sadness, like a personal one that I was, able to attend was obviously 2006 when they lost to the Colts in the Super Bowl. I really thought we had a chance that year. I felt like when the rain started to fall, if they would have put in Kyle Orton, as funny as that sounds, they would have put in Kyle Orton instead of letting Rex Grossman finish. He had those little hands. The ball was slipping out of his hands. If they did that, if they gave the ball, I don't say it was Thomas Jones more, I feel like that team had a chance of beating them. So that was heartbreaking. The reality is, you said a date. My date's January 26th, 2020. January 26th, 2020. Now, I know that's not on the field, but that is my favorite player all time. That will forever be my favorite all time. And I can admit, right, I cried. That was my saddest day as a sports fan. But if you're talking on the field, Yeah, I guess it'd probably be that Super Bowl. The double doink didn't feel really good. When we lost, I want to say, what year was it? I don't even want to remember. Anytime we lost to the Celtics in the finals in the 80s, those ones hurt as a kid.
Yeah.
Toys were getting broken back then. When we lost to when Karl Malone got hurt and we lost to the Pistons with our, trying to get Gary Payton and Karl Malone their ring, that one really hurt too. I felt like
Malone was 40, Tone. Come on, man.
But if he stayed healthy,
I think they had a really good shot at winning it.
They had a shot at winning. Him getting hurt, I think, really affected it. Look, they may still have lost, but I felt like, again, that jerk Michael Jordan kept. Now Peyton eventually got his, but he kept guys like Ewing and Malone and Stockton from getting their rings, and that I don't like that stuff. As much as I defend Jordan and I have him as the best, like, people don't realize the disdain I have for him. Like, people don't know this because unless you knew me in the 90s, I blamed Michael Jordan for Magic Johnson in HIV positive.
Because you're the reason. Your fault. This is your fault, no doubt.
He did something with it. But yeah, so
you mentioned it. I mean, January 26, 2020 is going down, and it's going to be one of those days like, where were you when the Challenger blew up? Where were you when it's definitely a where were you kind of moment when you, especially as a sports fan, like, where were you when you found this out? So I can definitely appreciate that. Yeah.
So there's one thing I do want to address, because King 90, I don't know if he's still here, but he asked why we're no longer on Player's Choice.
Mm-hmm.
And we should address it, and then I promise I'll get to the clip and we'll have that discussion. But I just say it's nothing. We're still cool with Player's Choice. It's not like we got beef or anything.
No, nothing like that.
I'm still on Player's Choice Gridiron. Both of us will probably at some point be guests on the Player's Choice Basketball Show at some point again. It's just easier for us to kind of do it here. Hailey, by the way, for those that notice that she's not here, we'll be back on Thursday, on our Thursday episode. She just had a conflict, so you're stuck with just me and Jay today. So if you would indulge me, I'm going to see if this works. So let's see. I'm going to try something new.
Obviously, the game is completely different. The athletes are
Well, that didn't work, but what it was Jerry West. Did you hear that at all, Jay, or no?
I heard a little bit of it. It's about Jerry West and
Freak out?
JJ Redick. I heard a little bit about it.
Let's see if we could try it again. If not, I'll just tell you. No, okay, it doesn't want to work, and that's fine. We're gonna kick it out of here. Boom, just like that. Okay, so what it was Jerry West basically saying JJ Redick's comments about the plumbers and firemen that Bob Cousy had to go against. Jerry West, of course, started playing, I think, just at the tail end of Cousy's career. So same guys, they were playing against the same guys. And he kind of said, well, what did JJ Redick ever do that affected a game? Said, hey, I know him a little bit. He's a smart kid. He's what do you average, 12 points a game? So we're getting a lot of the older guys coming to the defense of Bob Cousy, as to be expected. You're getting the young guys coming to the defense of JJ Redick, as to be expected. One of the interesting takes I've heard from this, and this is where I wanted to go with this conversation, to a little bit different, is this the younger generation kind of their rebuttal to the older generation saying, man, these guys are making so much money, they're soft, they couldn't play in our league because they're weak? And is that warranted? Like, do two rights make a wrong? Do two wrongs make a right?
Two wrongs don't make a right, but it damn sure make us even. That's a fact. But with that being said, I'm not sure that the money is what the issue is here. More than I think that the lack of respect is why these guys are coming out. Because when I think about talking about the older generation, when I think about talking about Elgin Baylor and Jerry West and Chamberlain, Rick Barry, Walford, when I think about talking about guys like this, that's the history of the game that needs to be talked about. And not only does it need to be talked about, it educates guys, because you guys get to understand where the game came from, where the game has been, and where it's going, as opposed to just thinking that the game started with Kobe Bryant, thinking that the game just started with Michael Jordan. No, the game did not start with Michael Jordan. The game was around before Michael Jordan showed up. The game was around before Shaquille O'Neal showed up. And there were a lot of guys who were really good before those guys showed up. So the logic that, this guy can't play today or that guy can't play today, well, I'm not 100% sure that that's true. I'm not sure that it's not true, but I think it's an over-exaggeration to how good these to how good these guys were. Simply because, Tone, when I think about, for example, a guy named Chico Vaughn, who used to play for the Baltimore. He played for St. Louis. He played with Bob Cousy. I'm sorry, not Bob Cousy. Played with Bob Pettit. He was a rotation guy. He averaged 12 a game. Now, Tone, I'm 12 a game as a rotation guy. And when I hear people talk about these guys, like JJ Redick, talk about these guys being plumbers, I think it's a testament to these guys. Because a guy like Chico Vaughn, who was a rotation guy and getting 12 a game, Tone, I'm 12 a game and I got a day job. I wasn't getting money like these guys are getting today. In the offseason, I had to get a job in order to supplement my income. A guy like, LeBron Ellis, who played for the Lakers, he was 13 and 10 and he was a rotation guy. So imagine if all I had to do was focus on being a pro basketball player. And my second job in the offseason isn't shooting Sprite or Adidas commercials. It's actually hauling lumber. That's my second job because I got to supplement my income. If I'm just focusing solely on basketball, I think that 13 and 10 could have very well been 17 and 11. And what do you think the going rate for a guy 17 and 11 is? So when I think about a guy like JJ Redick, the thing that I think is the most important is I look at a guy like JJ Redick, who is a rotation guy, and I think about the 2000s, which is the year he came in 2006. Remember, Tone, in 20 years, the 2000s are going to be the 80s. These guys are going to be 40 years removed, and your son, your little man, is going to be 28, and he's going to say to you, I'm so hoping that I'm around when this comes about, because your 28-year-old son is going to say to you that would have ate Kobe Bryant's lunch, and Kobe Bryant was playing against plumbers in 2002, and I'm going to have to hold you back because you're going to want to strangle him because you remember Kobe Bryant. And I think in 20 years from now, we're going to be talking more about Jerry West than we are JJ Redick.
100%. And so here's my take. I come to the defense of the older players a lot, and it's because in the social places that I am, I hear it more, right? And so the reason I come to their defense a lot is I believe, I don't care the era, I believe that any professional athlete would have been a professional athlete. It's just a matter of when they were born. So would JJ Redick have been 10 points a game, whatever, in the 60s? Yep. Would Bob Cousy been a great point guard in today's game? Yep. Because it doesn't matter. It's again, to your point, it's going to be the nutrition, the training, the knowledge that they get, the practices that they get in. So again, they were playing plumbers and firemen. Yeah, maybe they were plumbers and firemen in the offseason. That actually is pretty impressive to me that they were able to do both. And if it wasn't for them doing that, you wouldn't have a job today. So put some respect on their damn name.
Yeah.
But I'm not that guy who's saying, any of them, whether it be LeBron or JJ Redick, can't play. Both of those guys will be fine in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 60s, in the 30-10s. Whenever basketball continues, they're going to be fine. Because here's the thing. Bob Cousy, and I've said this before, Bob Cousy doesn't get, and this is the argument, he gets in a time machine and he's getting killed. Sure. But if he was born in 1980, he'd be a different player. And because of his work ethic, because he would get to the nutrition, the training, the private jets, not having to fly commercial, like the fact that those guys were smoking cigars, drinking scotch, having full-time jobs, all that stuff, and still playing at a professional level. And here's the other part. Why is it we say, well, Bob Cousy wasn't great because he was playing against plumbers and firefighters? What was he? Was he from the future? Because he was still better than them. Did he come from the future? Oh, the answer is no. What were his teammates? So you're telling me just this one guy was great. All of his teammates, because everyone wants to say like, oh, just his team. Oh, his team was from the future. Right. No, all of his teammates then were plumbers and firemen. So he had to play with, if you're saying all his opponents were trash, or then all his teammates were trash. Mm-hmm. Man, that's pretty impressive then. If I had to play with a bunch of trash against trash, and I must be trash too, because I didn't come from the future. So that's the other part that drives me nuts, is when they try to say like, Kuzi's stuff doesn't count because his players were firemen, and Jordan didn't have any These were professional athletes. These were professional teams. Now they might not play the way you like to watch them play, but too bad. You can't choose when you were born. Right. So you can only play against the generation and the era that you're at, and that's how we have to judge you.
Yeah.
Look, listen, we'll have these debates because they're great to say, well, what would this player do against that player? Bleacher Report has done a whole series about bringing these guys into this time thing. Cool. I like all that stuff. I like the conversation. Yeah. But when you start to say a guy like JJ Redick, who is half of his career was a starter, so half the time he came off the bench, was a role player who averaged 12 points a game, and again, better versus greater. I use the word greater. Is a greater player than Kuzi? No, he's not. You can't say a top 50 player isn't greater than a guy who wasn't top 100 in his own years that he played.
Yeah.
So better, and I go back to the whole thing. If I get in a time machine, of course, I'm going to be the smartest guy at Microsoft 20 years ago, right? If I go back in time and I go back to grade 1, I'm going to be pretty smart. But like that, it doesn't work like that.
Take it a step further than that, Tone. If I can go back, I'm knowing what I know now. If I could go back 20 years and be 20 again, but I know what I know today, I would be an awesome player. I wouldn't be a good player.
How about human being?
Right. I would be an awesome person.
You don't think I'm inventing Facebook and TikTok and
what?
The dollars?
I would be great. But I've said this in the past, and I stand on it. If you're gonna get rid of the 60s, and you're gonna talk about these guys, and you want to exclude that stuff, right? You want to get rid of the Celtics and everything that they did. You want to get rid of Chamberlain, and you want to lessen everything that those guys did. You got to do the same thing with what's going on today. You got to get rid of everything that LeBron James did, everything that Steph Curry did, everything that James Harden did, because these guys play in the freedom of movement era. So I can very well make the argument that, well, it was much less difficult to score now than it was back then because you couldn't put hands on guys. And it was much less difficult to score because the game was a lot freer. And if you're willing to make that claim against the 60s, you got to do the same thing with what's going on today. And I know for a fact that you guys aren't prepared to do that. I know that.
All right, so let's jump out of the 50s or 60s, and let's do some rapid fire. I'm trying to check the time. We got 20 minutes, 18 minutes. So let's go through some comments here. I'm just start with so this is from Magugala _5. So I was in TikTok, and this guy said that Stockton isn't a top 10 playmaker all time. His top 10 was Braun, Magic, CP3, Nash, Harden, Westbrook, Curry, Zeke, Jordan. What the? Okay, you know what's funny? Anyone who has LeBron number 1 overall and doesn't have Stockton in their top 3 playmakers, I'm questioning your logic, because I know you're making the case for LeBron by saying, well, 35K, 10K, 10K, you're using his all-time stats. Well, doesn't he have the assist record that may never be broken?
What do you mean may never be broken, Tone? The closest guy is Chris Paul to his assist record. And in order for Chris Paul to break John Stockton's assist record, he's got to have Rondo's career moving forward. And he's got to do this for the next 7-8 years in order to catch John Stockton, which is not going to happen.
I never want to say never, because never's a long time.
I don't think I'm going to see that in my lifetime. I doubt that very seriously.
Right?
I doubt that very seriously. So when I think about John Stockton not being a top 5 playmaker, once again, we talk about the logic that playmaking is just passing. Passing is a huge part of playmaking. Passing is a very big part of playmaking. And I hold that in a
FYI, this is the greatest playmaker of all time.
Hello, dear.
She's gonna be the next Magic.
Hello, dear.
WNBA or the NBA.
Hello, dear. How are you? Oh, there he is.
Who's the next Curry?
What's up, young fella?
I want to me brag about them for a second. So my son went for a walk today, walking the dog, and some my son's 8, so some teenagers were shooting hoops, and they said we need a celebrity last shot.
Uh-oh.
So I'll take it, and so they gave him the ball, and he says, "Daddy, nothing but net."
Did he crack it? Was it cash?
The cash. He's like, money. It was money, and
nice.
He's in basketball camp this week. He goes, I stole the ball, and the guy fell as I stole it, and I just stepped over him, like Allen Iverson did to Tyrone.
Uh-oh. We're getting them started early. I like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're getting them started early. So, but to answer your question, Tone, I think passing is a very big part of playmaking. But the difference is that John Stockton did so much more. And you know how I feel about playmaking. Playmaking isn't just passing. Playmaking is a bunch of different things. But John Stockton, when I think about him as a playmaker, I definitely think he's a top 5 playmaker all time. No doubt about it. I think he's ahead of Nash. For the people who had Nash up there, I think he's a better playmaker than Nash because he was a better defender. He sped up their offense more than anybody has because he was their anchor. In terms of their backcourt players, he was their best defensive player in the backcourt, and he sped up their offense. So when I think about John Stockton, and I also too, I heard a really interesting. Somebody told me about John Stockton not being able to score. You know, John Stockton has more 2020 games than Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook is a scorer.
He when people say couldn't, I always say no, didn't.
There's a difference.
And there's a difference. And there's
not
a difference.
The same thing.
Like people tell me I couldn't pass. No, I could pass. I just didn't.
There's a difference.
Kobe, I'll use a better player. Kobe could pass. He just didn't.
He just didn't.
Same thing with Stockton. He could score.
Right.
But he just even Magic. Magic wasn't a great shooter, especially when he came into the league. He obviously got better as the years went on. Mm-hmm. But Magic could score. But he was more comfortable dishing up and running the offense versus scoring, but we know that he could score. This is the follow-up to that previous one, to the TikTok one. Then some other guy had KD over Wilt and Bill Russell, and KG was top 10 all time.
Here's the thing that needs to be understood, Tony. You and I have had this debate countless times. I don't differentiate between better player and greater. I don't do that because better basketball player is a fancy term for more talented. And I've seen more talented players get outplayed. I've seen that. Kevin Durant is a more talented player than Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum outplayed him. Not only did he outplay him, LeBron James is a more talented player than Dirk Nowitzki. Dirk Nowitzki outplayed him. And I can go on and on with these examples. I've seen a number of different better basketball players get outplayed by guys with lesser talent. I've seen that. So I don't differentiate these two things, better basketball player and greater. Those two things, they don't work with me because I care about what you are as a basketball player and what you've produced. And what I will not listen to is I will not listen to the logic of, well, the help that I had on my team or the kind of team that I had. There's a remedy for that, Tone. It's called free agency. You do not have to stay where you are. Let's make sure we're clear. Tracy McGrady signed an extension in Orlando. He didn't have to stay there. He did not have to stay there. He could have left.
Well, he never should have gone there. He should have stayed in Toronto. Let me ask you, there's a lot of, we're going to get back to the chat in a second, but there's two things I wanted to bring up. One, someone was asking what's more impressive, Zion's 27 points per game on 60% plus shooting, or Kareem's 25 points per game on 60% plus shooting.
What's more impressive? To be honest with you, I think it's Jabbar. And the reason why I think it's Jabbar is because Jabbar had one move. In addition to him scoring in transition, Jabbar was not multifaceted on offense. He had one shot. Stop this and you stop me. And nobody could stop him.
Oh, I said it was Jabbar, but for a different reason. I said it was Jabbar because he played like 20 more games. He played 82 games that season.
Oh man, I mean, we can't even talk about Jabbar's durability.
Right,
That goes without saying.
Played like 60 games, so it's
right.
easier to do it in less games. Let's be honest.
Now, I will tell you this, Tone. I will say that it's really impressive what Zion has been doing. This is why I really feel like him in terms of health. If he can stay healthy, Tone, I think he's a franchise player.
Can he stay healthy?
That's the difference, though. Can he stay healthy? But remember, Tone, we talking about the same. We had the same conversation about Joel Embiid. You know, he missed his first 2 seasons in the NBA, and now we talking about Joel Embiid being a modern day Patrick Ewing.
So, but here's the thing: if you look at there's 2 players that have played the amount of games that Zion did in their first 3 seasons: Joel Embiid, Greg Oden. So, does he go Joel Embiid MVP candidate, or does he go Greg Oden side?
Well, I think he's close to the Embiid simply because number one, he made the All-Star team, 26-6 on 60% shooting. So he's shown us the potential. Greg Oden wasn't able to show us that he could do anything even remotely close to that. Just like Joel Embiid, he's been an All-Star. Joel Embiid, he's been a league MVP candidate, high on the list. So I think that Zion is closer to Joel Embiid than he is to Greg Oden. Now, the question is can Zion hold up? If he can hold up, if I can get 65 games out of him for 5-6 years, I'm good with that, Tone. I'm so good with that. Because I don't think he's going to hold up for 10 years. I don't.
No, I don't think so either. But I hope we see the guy that we saw working out last year during the playoffs and stuff.
I do too.
I told you that I drafted him when we did our under 25 draft because he is the best player under 25 if healthy.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you did.
If you're Phoenix and Atlanta, if you're Phoenix and Atlanta calls you asking for CP3 for Trae Young, you saying yes? So you're Phoenix.
Yes. I don't know if I can say
Atlanta calls you and says, "Hey, we want that vet. We'll give you Trae."
Well, number one, I don't think that trade is going to work.
Thinking about it.
I don't think the trade is going to work because of the money. But
this
if we're just going to make this trade straight up,
yeah,
I'm absolutely taking Trae Young. He's younger. He's my franchise point guard going into the future. So yeah, I'm absolutely doing that. I'm not gonna.
The fact that you hesitated, I was like, "What is wrong with you?" I'm making that trade all day.
I'm thinking about it because of is the money going to match up? Because what else do I have to give up? But if you're going to give me Trae Young for Chris Paul straight up, oh yeah, we're not having this conversation. No. In fact, I'm telling the secretary, get the plane gassed up and go get him right now before they change their mind.
All right, can you see when I pop these up on the screen?
Would you rather start a team with Jokic or David Robinson?
I just want to make sure. So, would you rather start a team with Jokic or David Robinson?
I would rather start my team with David Robinson, no doubt. David Robinson was elite on both sides of the basketball. Yeah, David Robinson was elite on both sides of the basketball. He was the epitome of box work. He was tougher. I think that he was a better athlete. I think that in addition to him being a better athlete, he had a money. I think Jokic could shoot the long ball a little bit. I think the Jokic could shoot the long ball better, no doubt about that. I think he was a better passer. But in terms of a franchise player, I mean, I don't know how long. You said this to me, Tone, in the past about with Dwight Howard when he had those first 5 years, how awesome he was. I mean, how much longer is Joker going to hold up? I don't know how much longer Joker's going to hold up. I know who David Robinson was. Absolutely, I know who he was. And if I'm starting the unit,
it's more just because you saw David Robinson for the full, you know that he was going to be there, he's going to last.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I don't know how much longer Joker's going to hold up. I don't.
I'm starting with Jokic. I'm going to take the guy who can shoot, who's a unicorn. No offense to David Robinson, I can find two-way bigs easier than I can find a unicorn. So a 7-footer who can lead start your offense, shoot threes, pass like a point guard, and post up and get your rebounds.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how I could turn that down. Like, I know what you're saying. Like, he started off slow. He's had 2 MVP years. Does he fall off next year? Who knows?
Right.
I'm taking that chance just because, like I said, not it's easy to find a David Robinson. It's not, but it's easier to find a David Robinson than, I call Jokic a unicorn. So I'm going to go Jokic. I was actually surprised. I thought you were going to go the other way.
Nah, I love David Robinson. I think that David Robinson gets a bad rap because Olajuwon kicked his you know what, and Shaq was as dominant, but David Robinson for a lot of years was one of the 3 best centers in the game. No doubt about that. He was.
So this was back to that greater versus better. So, but I feel like people don't know the difference between greater and better. If people understand what that means, their rankings would change. Do you think people confuse better with greater? Or is there a difference between better and greater?
I don't. That's the difference. That's the thing, Tone. I have a difficult time with my skill set produces my stats and what team I'm on. That matters. All of that stuff matters. When you telling me about better basketball player, all you're talking about is the eye test. You don't care about production. You don't care about what this guy did. You don't care about how long he played. You don't care about anything else except the fact that what you're looking at right now, that's it. That's not enough for me. I care about you as a basketball player when I'm looking at you and what you produce. How many times, Tone, have you seen a guy get on the basketball court where he could throw the ball between his legs a number of different times? He can't play a lick when we get out there 5-on-5. How many times have you seen a guy?
I always say this. Look at, I think it was like, remember the and one, all those guys? I'm like, trust me. If people want to say, look how good they are. And I would say this, and people thought I was crazy even back then. I said, look, if they could play, if they could really hoop the right way, they'd be in the league making millions of dollars. They wouldn't be on the and one circuit.
None of those guys could. None of them.
That's where you go because there's something in your game that just, you might be a great dribbler, you might be a great passer. Like I see guys who do crazy dunks, who can't shoot a free throw. Well, maybe that's some guys in the NBA too. But there's guys who just, they can't play, they don't understand basketball, but they can dunk. Like,
right.
I forget his name, but there's this crazy dunker that they had brought to our basketball camp last week. I wish I knew his name. He was the guy that did this dunk. Gary Payton didn't even think he could dunk, and then he did like this crazy thing. It's all over the internet. But anyways, That guy was at the camp last week. I'm like, guy can't hoop though, right? So that's why I always say there's a difference between. That's why you can't trust your eyes. You can't. And I fight with younger guys who say, "Oh my God, look how good that guy." No, like look how flashy that person is. Maybe, and there's a million examples, of the Darko Milicic's and Jamar Russells in football where they look great. You still got to produce. Yeah, go ahead.
Add that to the fact, Tone, that when I look at a guy who is quote unquote better at basketball, well, what are you basing that on? The fact that he's a good one-on-one player? Well, basketball isn't one-on-one. Basketball isn't solely one-on-one. So I don't look at basketball as just a guy playing one-on-one, because if I looked at it like that, then we wouldn't have teams, but we do. And how do you mesh with this team? How does your skill set work with this team? Well, he might be on the wrong team. Well, that's not my issue. And not only is that not my issue, there's a remedy for that. And the remedy for that is called free agency, because guys do not have to stay where they are. You could get on a better crew. You could get on a crew that fits your skill set better. But I have such a difficult time with this better basketball player logic, because I've seen better basketball players get outplayed. So I'm not buying that.
All right, let's go rapid fire. Okay, we're going to start with this top 10 list. I want you to rank how good his top 10 list is. I'm going to read it to you. MJ 1, Braun 2, Kareem 3. It's kind of the basic 3. Magic 4. I think those 4 are pretty common. Then we got Wilt at 5, Bill Russell at 6, Duncan at 7, Shaq at 8, Bird at 9, Kobe at 10. How you feel?
I don't have a problem with that, and the reason why my list is similar to it. It's just some guys that I don't have Kobe in my top 10. I got him right outside. I got Olajuwon instead of Kobe. But as far as the rest of these guys, that's my top 10.
Pretty solid top 10. Right?
Yeah, that's my top 10. I just got them in a different order. That's all. But that's my top 10.
Yeah, I would say this. You got 1, 2, 3, 4 right in my book, so it's good with me. All right. So again, we're gonna go rapid fire. Ja or Trey?
Trae Young.
Ja. Oh, we're gonna fight on this one. We might fight with Soulja Boy. 2017 Warriors sweep 0-1 Lakers. I'm sorry.
No, they won't. No, they will not.
Sorry in terms of your basketball knowledge.
Yeah, no, they won't. They will not. No, they would not.
Well, I'd love to know, in all seriousness, I'd love to know your reasoning behind it and how much of those 0-1 Lakers you saw, because I don't think they even beat. We're having this Draymond Green. I don't know if we were supposed to discuss it next episode, but I don't care. Draymond Green was saying, "Oh, we could totally our 17 we'd beat those 96 Bulls by 20. We'd beat the Jazz by 40."
Yeah.
You know what? What we don't talk about is continuity. KD, you take KD, that even that first season on that team, they forget Jordan and Pippen had been playing together for like a long time at that point. They understood how to play together. Their defense was coming at you from every angle. Anytime someone says by 20, they're beating the Jazz by 40. So what? What are they beating the Knicks by 60?
Well,
like
Can we?
It drives me crazy when someone who claims to be new media and you shouldn't compare eras, dude. What did you just do?
Can we just
said new era is better than old?
Really quick, Tone. Just so you know that 17 Warriors team opening night against the San Antonio Spurs, they get smoked by 30, 29 points. They get smoked on opening night, and in the Western Conference Championship, the San Antonio Spurs got them in the chokehold before Kawhi Leonard turns his ankle. They got him 20 in a hole. So and before Leonard gets hurt, we have ourselves a series. I'm not 100% sure that the Warriors beat them. I ain't saying that the Spurs beat them, but I'm not 100% sure that the Warriors beat them if Leonard is healthy. I'm not sure. I can't say that about any of those series with the Lakers in 0-1. They mopped the floor with everybody, and everybody was healthy too. Everybody.
Let's see. We got time for a couple. Let's see. I'm just going through the chat now.
Yep.
Make sure I didn't miss anything before we let these. You know what? Do you want to end it? I know that we talked about this off the air, so I don't mean to put you on the spot, but do we have a minute to chill?
I'm listening.
Do we have a minute to chill?
We do have a minute to chill.
No, like your 1 minute rant.
My 1 minute rant. A minute to chill. I know what you're talking about. Haha, I got you. We do have a minute to chill.
Let me make it nice. Let me make it official. A minute. This is, you guys don't know what's happening behind the scene. A minute to chill. Here we go. Watch this. Bam. You can tell this was a minute. So we're gonna go a minute to chill. I'm even gonna mute myself. There you go, sir. All yours. A minute to chill.
I want to start by saying it's been an honor working with my man Tone. We go over what we go over. We prepare for this show as much as we prepare for it, and it's super dope. And the content that we come up with, it's very educational, not just for me. I know I got to absolutely be on my game whenever I'm talking to them. Whenever we're talking about whatever it is we're talking about, whether it's football, whether it's basketball, whether it's life, I got to make sure that I know what I'm talking about, and I got to make sure that I come with facts, because I will get called out on it. So whenever you guys watch our show, whenever you guys come in here with the information that you bring us, you have to make sure that you come with facts as well, because the majority of the time, we know what we're talking about. Very, very rarely do we get caught off guard with anything that we're not knowledgeable about, whether it's what's going on in the world, whether it's in sports, anything like that. We know what it is that we know what it is that's going on. So whenever you guys talk to us, we give you the stuff that we give it to you exactly the way we're bringing it. And I think that this show and this platform that we've created is very good for everybody. It's not just good for us, and we're not just doing it for us. We're doing it to give it to you guys, so you guys can have something to understand and to go off of. So whenever you talk to people, whenever you go out and you see people, and whenever you have debates or anything like that, you know for a fact that the stuff that you're getting from us, it's authentic and it's real and it's fact. Now we don't get our facts. Sometimes we might get misconstrued. Few times that we do get misconstrued, We do. But for the most part, we know what we're talking about. So when you go out into the world and you tell people about LeBron James or you tell people about Michael Jordan, that's because you learned it here and you got a different perspective here. When you go out and you talk to people about the NBA or the NFL and what happens with the Tennessee Titans and why Derrick Henry is the best running back in the game, you learn that here because you're getting facts from us and from us only.
Man, I thought you were going to go down a different path, but that was amazing. Let me just, I'm going to end it. This is the last topic. King 90, peace out. We'll see you on Thursday at 9 p.m. Thursday. So I should mention to everybody, there's a couple of things, announcements I want to make. And then there is one more last topic that'll take a second. So one, fluentandchill.myshopify.com. Tons of new merch. I was telling the story yesterday. I'll say it again. Someone messaged me and said, I would love to have a hat that says this. Bam, had it for him the next day. So we were going to have like funny stuff like KD, not a superstar. That shirt's out there. GOAT James is a nice shirt that we got. 6 is greater than 4, debate over. We're going to have some funny shirts too, but we got the classics, Team Fluent, Team Chill, etc. So definitely check out fluentchill.myshopify.com. And then last topic, and we're also going to bring you new segments. So as I mentioned before, Hailey will be back on Thursday. We're going to do like a Would You Rather. We're going to bring some drafts. We're going to do all that kind of stuff is coming just depending on the week. But I want to ask you a question. I've been very, very critical of Kyler Murray. So we're going to end it with some football of Kyler Murray. His new contract, I said, was too much. And I thought it's going to sink the Arizona Cardinals because top 5 paid quarterbacks don't win Super Bowls. Those are all facts. Those are all facts. However, he has a clause in there that says he must do at least 4 hours of homework every week on his opponent. If that isn't a massive red flag that tells you he doesn't watch any damn tape and doesn't know how to read a defense, I don't know what does. How does that now make you feel about Kyler Murray and the Cardinals, if at all, different at all?
Well, I'm a little torn, Tone, because when I think about, Vince Young was a prime example. Vince Young was the best player in high school. He was the best player in college. And when he got to the pros, it didn't translate as much as it should have. And the reason why it didn't translate is because he wasn't doing his homework. And it was obvious that he wasn't doing his homework. Now, it's kind of similar to what's going on with Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray was the best player in high school. I don't think he lost a game in high school. He wins the Heisman Trophy in college. He takes them to the playoffs. He's the number 1 overall pick. And he gets to Arizona. Every team, Tone, contrary to popular belief, does not have aspirations of winning the Super Bowl. Every team, their profit is more important. There's plenty of teams where their profit is more important. Now, when I look at Kyler Murray, they may be looking at this where him not being able to do it, him not doing his homework, I think it's a red flag, but I think it's more important for Arizona when I look at him being able to just win games. For him to just win games, that's putting people in the stands. And not only is it putting people in the stands, that's putting viewership. That viewership is going to go up. In the process of viewership going up, that means that business is good. Now, are they going to win? He's been winning doing it his way. The question is it going to translate into the pro game? Has it? Well, they made the playoffs just this year. They haven't made it the last 2 years. So add that to the fact that now him getting paid, that's going to throw a monkey wrench in what they're going to be able to do. They're going to have to draft well. Not only are they going to have to draft well, they're going to have to develop their players well, because they're not going to be able to pay guys what they normally were able to pay them before they paid Kyler Murray. As far as this being a red flag, his play, it's been working for him thus far. Will it continue to work? That's the $1 million question, Tone.
All right. Well, you know what? We're going to find out this upcoming season. I've already said I think he's overpaid, overrated, and this, I feel, just confirms my opinion. To O'Neal Henry, don't make that KD shirt, brah. It's already made and available.
You already made it.
Order yours today. Until Thursday.
Take it light, but take it.
That's not ridiculous. That's not ridiculous to say that.